we're back. We're gonna be working on the Turbo E30 that we're wrapping up here at the shop. I'm gonna give you guys a little point of view of us modifying the turbo manifold for the wastegate provision. So we're gonna be changing the position of the wastegate because this manifold was on another car. The wastegate was positioned a different way. We wanna change that, so we're gonna give you guys a point of view of what it's gonna take for me to go ahead and modify this. I have my apprentice Daniel here who's gonna be working with me and helping me modify this thing. So let's get to it. All right, so here we have the manifold. This turbo manifold originally had a wastegate provision going this way and down, but these manifolds are the original RSI manifolds that were prone to boost creep because of the positioning. So there's a manifold that was used on another car. It was modified. It was the turbo flange was actually raised and the wastegate provision was changed. Now this design or this setup doesn't have any sort of boost creep, but the problem is the wastegate was positioned up high and we're trying to put the wastegate down low. So we're just gonna make an extension piece, which we already started working on. So I apologize that we're kind of starting mid-build here, but we're just gonna position our tube here just right. We still I gotta trim this a little bit to get it a little closer to where I want. That's actually where I technically need it. That way I stay away from the valve cover. Daniel, give me a marker. And what I want to do now is I'm going to mark this so that we can rack up the car. Grab the ladder too. We're going to mark this here. And then I'm going to rack up the car, see if our placement here is going to work to position our wastegate. And we're going to be using a 38 millimeter wastegate versus a 44. These are the power goals that this car is going to be at. And I put 2 marks on it. I want you to put it where I marked it, and I'm just going to verify to make sure that the wastegate's going to sit where we want. Is that somewhat where it needs to be?
Yeah.
Okay, it's not bad, but it's a little close. No, actually, you know what? It's just the top. It'll be fine. All right, that works. So our wastegate placement fits. There's plenty of room everywhere. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and weld the flange onto the tube, weld the tube up, tack it onto the manifold, put the manifold back onto the car, remove, do all that good stuff, verify, and then give it the final weld. So let's get to that. So we got the wastegate provision done. Let me take off the piece of the downpipe that I have here. So the wastegate provision is done. So before, like I said, this was a modified manifold. The wastegate was up high. We wanted to move it down low, so we just made this extension. The wastegate's gonna sit down low. Crank it.
Let's just time it. It sounds like it's flowing. Oh, Stu did do a fuel filter. Manually,
Oh, it's working.
Oh, that way I don't have to keep on cycling.
I don't hear or feel. Well, we have a leak.
This one's fuel. Oh, that's right. So this one doesn't have the starter wire here? It is.
But how are you gonna? Oh, it's ignition is on. I mean, we have spark. It's not the strongest spark. It's pretty weak. Maybe that with the mixture of that shitty ass gas. And all I have here is the 85.
Well, E85 will bump up the octane.
I mean, we can add it. It's like 3 gallons of it, and you said there's like
Fuck it. We'll lean it out. No airflow.
2, 3.
Even shitty gas should fire.
So we didn't have injector pulse width, so we think it was a bad connection between the ECU and the engine harness. So it started, but we're gonna start it again. Go ahead and crank it at them. There's no exhaust on this downpipe, so it's a little loud. It's alive. It's running rough. It should still rev, but it's not revving. All right. Too bad there's no scratch and sniff button on YouTube, but it smells like a little bit of old gas, a little kerosene. All right, so we are done with this early model S52 turbo car that we did. We gave it a little bit of a facelift. You'll see earlier in the video where the front valence is kind of beat up, the bumpers aren't tucked. So we did a few cosmetic things to clean up the car for the customer. We also swapped out the wheels. So we didn't do a whole lot in the exterior or suspension wise in this car, but just cleaned it up a little bit for them. But you know, this is where our bread and butter is. Turbo S52, stripped on the engine bay, got it painted. The motor is not built, it's just stock S52 with head gasket and studs, GT35R turbo, and we're running an early style RSI manifold. These are the manifolds that had that boost creep issue. So we went ahead and solved that by relocating the wastegate. So you see here, we modify the manifold. This is actually the wastegate tube, and the wastegate is mounted down low. Recirculate it back into the downpipe. It's a 3-inch downpipe. All the cooling, oiling, everything was all custom routed. It's running a 3-inch intercooler, you know, basic air filter with an intake. The car has AC, heat, everything. Our modified radiator with a electric fan on this model. For some reason, there wasn't quite enough room where we felt comfortable running a fan clutch, but this setup works. Drivetrain's pretty much, you know, straightforward. A ZF trans, 5-speed, 323 gear ratio, and that's pretty much it as far as what we did to the car. Obviously, it's not a little. We did a lot, you know, to the car, just swapping it and turboing it and all that. But this thing is ready to rip. We're gonna let you guys hear it, give you a few revs. Might do a little burnout. You know, it's drizzling a little bit, so we won't damage the customer's tires, but I'm sure he won't mind. So let's get to it.
A few moments later.